All right, guys, we're going to break down a site we have in Williamstown, New Jersey. Want to do this breakdown for you guys. Nobody's in the Zoom right now. That's okay. It is Saturday morning, bright and early, but we're going to record this and I'm going to drop snippets from it to our various social medias, especially you guys that are in the what used to be, I forget the new name of it, but the road to 10 million in self-storage. We're going to put snippets of this in here so you can see some things that that we're looking for specifically when we're looking at sites that you can pinpoint to help you understand what it is that you want to be looking for in a broad brush picture, right? So this is not a deep dive yet. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and one of the goals here is to make sure that you're not spending more than 10, 15 seconds on something that you don't need to, right? You're going to look at thousands of sites to get 4 or 5 deals. And if you spend 5 minutes on every site you look at, that means you can look at, 12 sites an hour. To get to thousands of sites is going to take a lot of time. And so what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to use some tools to narrow down how long it takes us to get to that really critically important site. So without further ado, I am going to share my screen here in a minute, and we're going to take you to Williamstown, New Jersey, and take you through what our thought process was here. Now, one of the things you're going to find out really quickly is that knowing a market becomes really important, right? So this is, why do I not have, all right, let's dig in here. So 1525, it killed the 1525 part when I went to save it. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to copy, come back up here. Oh, you know what I need to do? I just need to get rid of the near. There we go. So let's do our Google map. I like to do this layered view. Makes it way easier to see. So this is 1525. Our site actually wraps around it, I think. Nope, our site comes right in here. I think it's right beside it. So back in here is our site. And so immediately what I'm going to do, I'm going to plug this in, and in 10 seconds, I'm going to tell you if I want this site or not. So I just came here. This was what the view it gave me. I zoomed out and I know, all right, this is 2,000 feet, right? So 5,000, 6,000 feet's a little over a mile. So in 3 of these, I got a 3-mile radius here. I've got enough houses. There's enough development here that I'm feeling pretty good about this. Now, I'm immediately going to say, all right, next step. Now, we know this area. And so we know that over here, we see all these pine trees. This is protected land in New Jersey, and it can be a pain in the butt to get approval to build on something like this. But we know it's likely going to be possible. Why? Well, look at what's right down the street. There's a Walmart. So I'm going to be excited about this because there's a Walmart right there. And that's going to do 2 things. Number one, I know Walmart is checking the demographics in the 3-mile radius. So they've already done the work I would typically do, which doesn't mean I'm not going to do it, but I feel pretty confident that spending the money to do that deep dive is going to be well worth it because Walmart wouldn't be sitting here. I also happen to know that the Black Horse Pike is a pretty heavily traveled road. Williamstown is a very popular location and is actually an expanding location in our area. If you zoom out a little bit, you can see this is Philadelphia. And what's happened over time is, in the early days, Camden was the suburb, right? People moved over to the river to Camden, and then Cherry Hill, Haddonfield, and Moorestown, which are close to there, we're very familiar with. What's happened over time is the population has moved further and further away. So Deptford is pretty well populated. Washington Township is now hugely populated. They actually have a bank in their high school. Yeah, kind of crazy. And the Black Horse Pike people driving down the Black Horse Pike, little by little, the further towns that are away from Philly are growing. So this Williamstown area, there's going to be a little bit of stoppage here too, which is good for us. You can kind of see there's no growth in this general area, very little growth, because the pine lands became protected, and it takes a lot more work now to build something there. So this is a deep insight into our understanding of this market, because this is where we are. You can see this blue dot up here is my house. This is literally where we live and where we do things. My daughter played soccer in Hamilton for 3 years straight. This is just an area that we're very familiar with. And I say that you're going to start digging into some areas that you maybe aren't as familiar with, and that's okay. Especially if you live in an area that's not a prime market for self-storage, you're going to want to go find another area. But I highly suggest one of two things. Number one, stay in one area and really get good at that area, so you can start to understand some of these things as you go through more and more deals. You're going to start to see some of the idiosyncrasies of a given market and understand them, and it's going to save you time going forward. The next thing I would suggest is that you make contact with brokers in that local market who are commercial brokers who can help you understand some of those limitations. And a really good question to ask is, hey, I'm looking at this piece of land. Tell me what I should know about the area this is in. That's simple. Nice, simple, open-ended question, and let them dig into you and give you some insight into what's going on in that area. Now, if the broker is representing the seller, then obviously you have to take everything that they say with a grain of salt, because they're going to try and, make it look as good as possible. If the broker is representing you, they still get paid on the sale of the land. So you got to kind of take things with a grain of salt, and you have to kind of play that game of, hey, is this person really being real with me? Am I hearing only good? Or am I hearing, some of the reality? And if you get that person that's telling you reality and you're hearing those real things, stick with that person, man, and hang on to what they say, because they're going to end up getting you to deals quicker. Really high level brokers will understand that they've got to cut to the chase. They've got to give you the real talk, because it takes 90 to 120 days to even begin getting through due diligence, right? If they want to fill their pipeline with deals that don't fall out, they've got to give you the reality. Otherwise, they'll have 25 deals in their pipeline, but none of them will close because they didn't tell you important things that you needed to know. Or more importantly, it will close, but the deal will end up not making you money, and you won't come back to do business with them again. So once you see that broker that's giving you real talk, try and hang on to those people, because those are the people that are going to get you business that's going to finish. It's going to get over the finish line, and it's going to allow you to keep doing repeat business with them, because the deals are going to be profitable, because they're going to have told you the things you need to know up front. So real quick here, 10-second look, right? I was in 2,000-foot view. If this is, 2,000 feet, so I'm like less than 3 miles in this radius, a good 30% of this land is covered in housing developments, and there's a Walmart right there. This is going to be a prime location. What's even greater about this Walmart is 90% of the traffic going to that Walmart is going to be coming past our facility and see our sign. This is going to be fantastic. So that's number one. In 10 seconds, I realized this is something worth digging into. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the nearby tab, and I'm going to type in self-storage. And when I type in self-storage, I am going to see there's no self-storage super close. This is fantastic for me, right? All these people, yes, they're going to go to those self-storage. The CubeSmart and the Public Storage are 2 miles away, right? But to get to the Walmart, all these people got to come by me, right? So this is a really fantastic setup for me. I really like this. Now, because I've seen these things, I don't think this is an oversaturated market. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig a little deeper, and I'm going to go to this CubeSmart, and I'm going to find their website, right? Williamstown, New Jersey. And it brings me right to the Williamstown, New Jersey CubeSmart. And I want to see $168 a month for a web rate, which would be fantastic, for a 10 by 10 unit. That's a simple number that allows me to go. A 10 by 10 unit is 100 square feet at $155 a month online, right? If I pull up a quick calculator and I do 155 times 12 months, they're paying $1,860 a year. And if I divide that by the 100 square feet of the unit, they're paying $18.60 for that unit on a web rate, right? Now, know that the self-storage facility is going to lower their price on the web to try and get you in, right? They want you to reserve that storage unit, right? You can see if you were to walk into the store, they're saying $207. Now, this is a shallow dive, right? So I don't need to get too crazy, but this is close enough to the 168 that I want, especially when I see the 207 up here, that I feel pretty comfortable that we're going to be able to make this pencil at $18.60 a square foot. If this was the average rent we were getting in the facility, we would likely be able to make this thing work. We'd love to be at 20, but at 1860, especially with the location I have, that's close enough to that 20 number that I'm going to be more than willing to take a stab at this. Now, I only looked at one facility. I'm now going to come up to this public storage and I'm going to look at another one, right? 08081, for whatever reason, the public storage doesn't do as good of a job bringing me right to the zip code. So I'm going to type my zip code in and I'm going to say 10 by 10. What did we want? We wanted 168. I'm at 179, right? And you can see they only have one left. That's another really good sign for us, where because they only have one left, it means they've got pretty good occupancy here. And if they've got really good occupancy, it means that I'm not going to compete with them for new customers. You can see 2148, they're getting over $21 a square foot. If they only average 179 a month, know that that 179 a month is probably a reduced rate to get people through the door on the web. These large REITs that manage a lot of the facilities, they offer a lower web rate because they don't have to have someone in store answering the phone. You can literally rent these now without ever seeing a person, right? They have key codes to the gate and they have key codes to the unit, or you can bring your own lock. They have different setups for different places, but they're trying to minimize how many people they need to have you talk to because it lowers their overall expenses. I'm going to look at this iStorage. You can see this is an exterior, likely non-climate control. Let's see what they're charging for rates here just for fun. Williamstown, New Jersey, 10 by 10, 163 a month. Again, I'm right on. You can see they have limited units, which is pretty, doesn't surprise me in this area that they'd have pretty good occupancy, $163. They're just below that number we wanted. 233 in store. If that's what they're averaging for these, man, they are doing really, really well. So again, quick deep dive. Just wanted to give you a little insight into what we're looking at. This is obviously, we already have this site on the board. I'm going to come back and do another one of these for you guys where I look at a few that are not, that didn't make the cut. And so you can see how we would look at that and why we would, you know, eliminate something real quickly. But just wanted to give you a quick overview of how you can go look at some addresses. And by the way, you can do this if you're driving around your area and you see some land that's for sale. You can do a quick deep dive on it, you know, a quick shallow dive on it, just like I did, and see and take down a phone number and send it to us. And we'll reach out to people because we need land. And what's great about self-storage, and you guys hear me talk about this all the time, if you bring us a deal, there is enough meat on the bone that everyone can make a really fat check. So really glad to be able to share a few minutes with you guys this morning, and look forward to continuing to kind of teach you our process and give you the ability. The more people we have doing this and the more land we can acquire, the more money everybody makes, which is the goal. Have a great Saturday.